Alright, so yeah, we're starting 10 minutes late, which is perfect, given the number of games I have to go through and number of people that I need to wrangle along the way. So hello, my name is Cheese, and today I am going to stream I'm going to stream a list. I'm going to stream each of the games that I made last year, and couple games that I started in previous years, but have done significant work on in the meantime. Along the way, I'm going to be joined by some of the people who've collaborated with me on those games, and I'm also going to I'm going to talk about working on each of them and what I had hoped to do with them. I am a bit out of practice with the streaming thing and the talking thing, but hopefully we're going to get through today and it's going to be fun. So first up, well actually before I begin, I'm not going to be talking about other people's games that I've worked on, so no Full Throttle, no The Away Team, no, hang on, I got a list here. I'm going to read the list because that makes me seem like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so no Full Throttle, no The Away Team, no Hand of Fate 2, no The Fall 2, no Amnesia Fortnite, no Open JK, no Trackless, or any of the other titles that I lent a hand to or contributed to or whatever that were sort of other people's games, focusing mostly on stuff that I made myself. Um, yeah, so first up, we're going to be looking at Pecking Order, which is a little sort of VR experience, I guess. So it's really a prototype. It's a long way from being a completed game. What I wanted to explore with this game were two things. One was what happens if we stick something on the camera and obscure the player's view with it. How what are the ins and outs of how that works and how does that feel? Could you potentially put a nose there and have someone seeing a cute little nose? In this game, you play as a chicken, so instead of a cute little nose, you have a giant honking beak. The other thing I wanted to check and explore and experiment with was what happens if we're using the Vive controllers, the motion tracked Vive controllers, for something other than your hands. So in this case, I've got each Vive controller mapped to a chicken foot, which you attach to your legs, and then you scratch the ground and worms come out. And I'm going to give a bit of a demo of that now, then come back and you can all laugh at how things go there. So just switching across to my cool VR layout. This is my lovely lounge room there. I will be back in a moment. Oh, hang on. Alright, you can't hear me because I'm like coming through the headset mic, so here I come. Alright, I'm gonna put this on so that you can hear me. Woo. Right, so these cool things, which is like I modeled all of this in Blender. Um, quick and dirty. I made this while streaming, so just sort of put everything together on stream. The cows are like billboards. The hay bales are just low poly cylinders with the edges tapered off. Just quickly knocked everything together. I even made a little chicken to go down there. Um, put some rocks on the ground, bits of grass and stuff. Ideally, if I had more time or I was making this into a bigger project, everything would be animated and a bit more alive and stuff. But you can get out of here for now. So the idea is that you just tuck these down here. Maybe you would strap them on if this was a proper game, but it's just a little prototype. So stuffing them into your socks is good enough. The beak takes up. It's difficult to see on the stream, but the beak takes up a decent percentage of the view, as with your human normal nose. Through one eye, you can see a little bit more of one side, and through the other eye, you can see a little bit more through the other. And there's a bit where that overlaps, where everything is black. I think I could get by with adding like some kind of feathered mask around the edge, so that there's not a hard polygonal line there for the darkness. But yeah, it kind of works. So we got these cool chicken legs going on, and I can cover up my senses. I can scratch the ground and then peck at the worms to eat them. How cool is that? I just realised that I've left my volume muted, I think. Oh, well, we'll find out when I get back. But there should be little chicken sounds. I didn't get time to do like proper audio for this. There's no real game beyond just scratching the ground, but it's cool to hang around and be a chicken. Look at my big shadow there. How cool is that? Um, One thing that this immediately highlights is that the Vive strap is wholly dependent on gravity keeping the the headset onto your head. So the moment that you bend down, it becomes a little bit more sort of free hanging. The strap's quite elastic, so it'll stretch a bit. But yeah, that's sort of pecking order. I'm not gonna go too hard at it. But it's really cool to be able to like. It was super empowering to make a space in VR or in sorry in Blender. Just quickly knock together some low poly stuff without a huge amount of preparation or a huge amount of planning. But just to immediately be able to drop that into a game and exist in that space, like to be in there. This is not particularly impressive, but the sense of going, I made this space 2 seconds ago. 2 seconds ago, this space didn't exist. That is hugely empowering. It is amazing to just go plonk 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 plonk. Here's a space. Now I exist in it. That's probably the biggest thing. But also, I'm gonna look at this little dude. How cool are you? He can have the stump of my leg. Um, yeah, so I'm going to come back to the computer now and talk a little bit more about what this project would be um, if I made it into something bigger. But yeah, for right now, I think it's pretty cool. Actually, no, I should probably talk about a bit more about what it's going to be, or what it. Sorry, I don't know if I'm going to turn this into a full project. So what it's going to be is probably not the best thing to do. So there are a couple things I'd like to do in terms of like making it like just a more rounded experience. Things like working out like doing a calibration phase where we work out how high your head is off the ground and then calibrate that as like normal chicken standing height. So we can scale the world to be the right height regardless of how tall you are. And also if you're sitting down at a computer and you want to just use it like this rather than attaching it to your legs, it'll scale the world so that everything is size appropriate. I kind of like that idea of like of measuring, having calibration phase and measuring the measuring the position of stuff based upon the person who's in the VR system, and you're like scaling everything to fit so that you can be guaranteed to get more or less the same kind of thing for everybody. Obviously, that's not going to work in a multiplayer environment, but for this sort of thing, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. So another thing that I was thinking about was like when you've got the chicken foot down here, it looks cool when it's scratching the ground, right? Oh, gotta eat that worm. Um, but it would be sweet if I could detect how far above the ground we were, and if it's above a certain height, then to like close or curl the claw so that like as it comes up and you're like lifting your leg up, the claws would close and have like a more interesting, more dynamic kind of feel to the feet. I think that would be pretty neat. I don't know whether a body is really the kind of thing that you want to have. Maybe I like the idea of obscuring stuff. I like the idea of having visual hurdles that you have to kind of lean or look around in 3D space to get the most out of. Like I think that's really interesting. Um, but yeah, so if I did this as a full game, actually no, I've done talking about the feet. I'm going to come back to the computer because I feel a bit weird. But yeah, so that's the shape of that. I'll be back in just a moment. And goodness me, I did leave the audio muted. So as you can hear, there's just like chicken sounds in the background. So um, yeah, if I was going to do this as a full game, the kind of concept that I was thinking about was that you're like some kind of researcher or some kind of scientist or something who is infiltrating a kind of a chicken community, and you've got to behave in a way that convinces the other chickens that you're a real chicken. And like, I just kind of dig that idea of yeah, what is it actually? I can bring the game up here. Hey, there we go. Not that it looks great with camera half buried in the ground, but yeah, like so this idea of uh, of trying to convince the world that you're a real chicken, and so doing real chicken things like eating worms or um, hatching eggs or jumping onto roosts, or like all these other things, and sort of maybe Octodad-esque sort of convincement meter, or suspicion meter, where if anybody suspects, any of the chickens suspect that you're not one of them, they might descend upon you and peck you, and you face consequences for that. But yeah, I just really don't dig this idea of inviting players to perform as something that they're not. Um, which really, like, at its core, like, maybe that's what games are about. Maybe that's what games are, is an opportunity to perform as something or someone other than yourself. Um, and in this case, like, what's it like to be a chicken? I don't know. Let's find out. And I got a little kind of narrative in mind there, but I really don't know if I'm going to continue um, development of this game. Again, I feel like I've learned the things that I wanted to learn about sticking a beak on your head and sticking claws on your feet, and checking that kind of stuff. And it kind of works. Obviously we'd need a huge amount of polish to be fun, and I haven't released public builds because I don't have any non-VR controls, and I don't have, uh, you know, a nice, enjoyable game loop. I might polish it up a bit more, just as a kind of, I guess, similar to another VR game like Munch or something, where it's just a kind of score attack thing, or a survival thing, where you eat as many worms as you can before the timer's up or something, just to give a sense of urgency and panic. I might do that and then release it, but for now I'm not planning to push ahead and make that into a full project. But yeah, so that's Pecking Order. Um, by the way, if anybody in chat happens to have any questions, feel free to ask them. I see some compliments on the low poly look. Thank you. I have not really done low poly stuff before, and it was slightly terrifying to be doing that on stream while people were watching. I did do a little bit of the modeling off stream because it's not as interesting as like getting in and running and doing the stuff. But I will. I haven't. Oh shit. Never mind. Don't worry about that. Everything's fine. I'm just gonna fire up this thing here. But yeah, so I think that's probably all I have to say about Pecking Order, other than it's cool to be a chicken. It's easy to look and feel quite terrible while playing. Um, but I think also that when you're in the game, when you're doing the things that make the game what it is, that all that goes away. You become a chicken. You're a chicken. Everything's fine. And you're doing chicken things, Um, and I think that's the main thing. And I had accidentally closed the. Oh shit! What am I doing? All right, let me fix this up. I have closed the things that I was going to be using for voice chat. Um, and I kind of messed all that up.
Was
So
thinking,
let
oh
me just
gosh.
fix that up and mute everyone. That's my bad. Oh dear. All right. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about Pecking Order. Other than Miriam did a really cool like, picture of a chicken walking, which I really dig, and I might even bring that up as something that we can look at. Um, Here it is. Miriam drew my partner. Miriam drew a nice little drawing of a little family of chickens, proudly strutting around with worms. And I thought that was pretty neat. And my OBS isn't going to show it to you, so you don't get to see it today. But it's what the little thumbnail thing here on my stream is. Yeah. So next up, I'm going to be talking about a game um, called something. Let me just shut down Pecking Order here so that we're not clouding everything up with chicken sounds. So yeah, the next game is called The Spicy Meatball Saves the Day. I made this initially for the Linux Game Jam last year, I think it was in March, maybe. And I made it using Icicle Engine, the engine that I've been making for Winter's Wake. I didn't think that I'd be able to participate. I thought it was all going to be quite tricky to make work in terms of timing and stuff, and I really only got time to make something on the second last day. And then I also had like I had a dinner to go to, and that ate into my time, and a few other things to get through. Just general work was was making it quite difficult to do anything. But yeah, I found a little bit of time and managed to put something together. And I'm going to fire that up now. Because I'm completely disorganized. I probably should have had everything ready to go already. Excuse me. Just like spicy meatball. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to switch across to the thing. And we might even... Can we make this full screen? No. Well, that's fine. That is fine. Yeah, I'm not very well prepared layout-wise either, so everything's probably going to look a little bit poo. But this is what Spicy Meatball Saves the Day looks like, and I am going to unmute InversePhase here, who helped out with the soundtrack. InversePhase,
Oh my.
can you hear me? I hope you can
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
How are you?
sweet. I'm pretty good.
Awake?
Mostly awake, mostly awake. So, what I think I'm going to do with all of the guests that I have joining me, who worked on the, some contributed to the games that I've made and we'll be talking about and playing through, is before I start, I'd like you to describe the game.
Oh my god. Spicy Meatball Saves the Day is about this kind of jerk meatball that likes to fly around causing trouble. And he has to land at a apartment building on fire and decides that maybe he can be arsed to help out. So you typically get to mouse about in a point-and-click first-person listening adventure where you can choose to move around by aiming kind of where you want to go and using positional audio to decide what to do. And then, of course, seeing the text adventure messages on the screen to kind of guide you in how to fail about your way through the game.
I mean, that's pretty close. That's about how I play, if not how I describe it. And this is something that I've kind of struggled a bit with, just in general for Icicle games, is that it's a tricky thing to describe, right? Like it's really what's the best way to describe it?
I mean, didn't you say first-person text adventure at one point? I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, like as someone who's played, it's very easy to see, first-person text adventure. I know what that is because I've played one. But if you've never played one before, I say first-person text adventure, and everyone just goes, "What?"
Derp.
Which is, like, it's cool. It's actually kind of neat to have something that's a bit new and a bit different. But yeah, I'm gonna start up the game, and I'm gonna read the intro. I'm gonna attempt to read the intro. I'm probably not going to read it in the same voice that I did the README in, which I'll fire off now so that everyone can have a laugh at the thing. Press the right button.
Greetings, hero, and welcome to the
I
Spicy
press
Meatball Saves the
button.
Day. To play, select New Game from the main menu, and after the introduction sequence ends, use the mouse or cursor keys to look around and read text descriptions of the environment and objects around you.
So that's the kind of thing, is just trying to do something that was a bit over the top, a little bit big, a little bit bombastic, and a little bit silly. And that's kind of how the game all came together. I didn't really give you any kind of brief for the music, did I?
No, Not really. I mean, you told me what it was about, and you threw me whatever build you had at the time, I think, and
Hmm.
uh, you said you were going to need, something. I forget what it was, but I was just really digging the FM vibe. I had just released some other FM music, and of course, we really got chatting because of like I don't know, Lucas Adventure Games and that sort of a thing. So
Yeah.
I was feeling that, like, that Sam and Max vibe or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just kind of spewed something out that I thought would fit.
I had a couple of placeholder pieces. I remember I was planning to use just some of Kevin MacLeod's Creative Commons music, and then I discovered that the Game Jam required that everything be made for the Game Jam, and I was like, oh shoot, I probably can't get away with using someone else's music. And I had sort of, I guess, like spy movie type feeling stuff going on there.
Yeah. So
But yeah, so I'm going to do the intro, which is where the music happens, but I'm probably going to be talking over it. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll be audible. An orange streak blazes across the evening sky. It's you, the spicy Meatball, returning to your secret hideout following a daring assault on the hidden Sea Slug Squad lair down at the gasworks. Using your respirator to slip past their burping gas perimeter, you're able to sneak up on and quietly dispatch the squad's lookouts. Then it was just a simple matter of climbing over the hidden loft with your grappling hook and squeezing the confession out of Sid Sea Slug through a combination of blunt-faced persuasion and winsome stares. Soaring over Hillwood Heights, you catch a glimpse of a convoy of police cars, fire trucks, and ambulances heading towards a two-story house that is billowing in smoke. You don't have much fuel left in your rockets, and you did have plans to catch up with the ineffable F for dinner, but the building is already well ablaze, and you can hear distant cries for help. You bank south and descend towards a fire, and you realise that the game is pretty loud compared to me. So I'm just going to turn that down a touch. I don't know if anybody heard that. It's tricky.
well, at
to
least
read.
they got to hear my masterpiece.
Yeah, the music's good. I love it. Like, it wasn't what I was expecting, but as we slotted it in, it fit, and it felt like I'm gonna. People are saying it's loud. I'm gonna turn the game down a touch. I'm gonna not get turned down too much because I think it's gonna be important to hear the ambient sound here. But yeah, I feel like tonally, it informed, or not that it informed, but ended up supporting a lot of what the game's identity was. So we had like this notion of it being like comedic and a bit silly, and there are a couple jokes in the intro, and that really that's almost all the yeah, I am gonna turn my mic up just a touch. Clearly I've not done enough preparation. Boop. Yeah, so well, actually that's probably a bit loud. Let me turn that down. Yeah, so yeah, there aren't that many jokes in the game itself, but people who play it sort of respond to it as though it's quite funny. I'm probably not going to read everything. I'm just going to play through and look around and do stuff. At the beginning, we're outside a burning building, and we've got some police people and some firefighters and stuff who are talking about what's going on there. There's also a distraught man who we talk to. He tells us that his young son is still trapped inside the building, yeah, we're gonna look in the correct direction and see a burning building somewhere. I'm blind. I cannot remember where the building is. There it is. It's bright red. In my mind, the entire map is rotated 90 degrees. I don't know why, because I've never seen it any other way. But yeah, I always tend to get lost in the first scene. So there are 3 entrances. There's a large window here that we can use our grappling hook to get to. There is also a roof that we can use our rocket boots to get to, and we can also just crash through the front door, wherever that's hiding. There it is. And I introduced all 3 of these things, or actually I introduced just the grappling hook and the boots during the intro, as they kind of become important. the thing that I wanted to explore here was what happens if you're a superhero, especially like a gadget-oriented superhero, and you don't have your gadgets. Like, what if you've had a full day of fighting crime, and your gadgets are kind of worn out. So if you go via the roof, your rocket boots don't work anymore. If you go via the window, you don't have access to your grappling hook anymore. And the idea of like putting you as a superhero type person in a situation where you're vulnerable, I thought that was kind of interesting. You're vulnerable due to the fact that you're going above and beyond. And yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Nevik says that it's like Syndrome, and that's kind of true. So after I made the prototype, or after I made the Game Jam version, we came back to what am I looking for? I'm looking for the stairs, right? The stairs should be this way. I can't remember where anything is. I should have played everything. It's turn right. Is it on the other side of the front door? Oh, it is. It is on the other side of the door. My mental map of this building is completely wrong. But after we made the initial Game Jam version of the game, I wanted to come back and revisit it with a little bit more polish. And we pushed in, like, we didn't have any sound in the game aside from the music originally. But then later on we came back and we pushed in both a bunch of real audio of fire, which you can probably hear at the moment. We wanted it to sound like intense and overwhelming, but we also have a bit of FM sounds or synth sounds, InversePhase. While I continue to play, would you like to talk about those and what was involved with getting things happening?
Sure. Well, it was kind of, when I wrote the theme song, I was kind of, I don't know, in Sam the Max mode or something like that. And so, thinking of like that sort of, a point and click adventure, it just happened to be first person or whatever. I was thinking when you get items and when you do things and whatever, and like, one of my favorite things in LucasArts games is like when you pick up a thing and it makes a whoosh, noise, or like everything has a sound effect. And this influenced me a lot kind of as a kid. Like when people ask me for money, like when I pay for some at a store or whatever, and I like flip out some cash, I like make a whoosh, sometimes. And, like, so I was like, okay, so what can I do to kind of fill in gaps? And of course you gave me an FX list, so there were certain ends to tie these to. So in my mind I'm just like, okay, so what is the happy marriage of like point and click adventure game I would do in real life, and how the hell would I do this on a Sega Genesis, because that was what I was writing music on, and the sound effects and everything. So I just kind of banged on things. When you're creating sound effects for games, unless you've got a sound effect tool, I'm trying to think of the name of any of those like online effects tools. You can like go to certain websites and just play with slots until you get like laser zaps or whatever. And I know that there are a couple downloadable tools and whatever, but I like to use my music software. So all of the effects I generated were, like I just made a song with, like 27 patterns, or, like the equivalent of like staffs to people that haven't used a tracker software. Kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet with a play button. And so, you just have like 64 lines of whatever to write your sound effect in, and it plays back like it's on a player piano or, something like that. So, what's a good example? Well, the police siren is very easy. You just kind of have this like Doppler effect on square wave. So, picture yourself just kind of playing a keyboard, like a piano keyboard, and playing like two notes, and slowly, taking the pitch bend thing and bending it downwards and whatever. And so you can apply that technique to this sort of spreadsheet thing where you're playing those notes and you have a command that you can issue to slowly detune everything until it's, an octave down. Or, when you launch, well, you need a whooshy sound effect, but it's not just a whooshy sound effect. You need the, the high pitched parts, the whooshy sound effect, and you need that sort of springboardy sound, and you need the, the kind of charge up noise and whatever. So, so basically you build an instrument for a component of the sound that you want, and you have them all kind of play side by side. And you arrange them in the tracker in whatever order you feel like they're supposed to play, and you hit record and play, and you send it to your client and hope he likes it.
It's I think also, like, I don't know how much work you do collaborating with other people, but I always feel like when you work with someone, you have the opportunity to stumble across things that neither of you would find on your own.
Yeah. It's I mean, my day job is still music, but like right now I'm writing music software because I'm unhappy with the music software that I have.
Right.
And eventually, once I finish that, I'll be writing music that I want to write inside of my own music software and whatever, so that I can release it and sell it online. But I definitely, if it weren't for, having done some music already and having done some game soundtracks, that's what it's called, already, then, I mean, I wouldn't come across, I have, the first gig I ever got was a space shoot 'em up, which honestly, is kind of one of my favorite genres, even though I'm regrettably pretty awful at them, and it was a really great intro to, I want to do something exciting, I want to do something with energy, whatever. And then I'm kind of covers guy. I figure it's the easiest way for people to kind of get what I'm doing. And someone came to me and he said that he was doing a Game Boy version of Smash Brothers.
Wow.
So but like I would not have discovered any of this. You're absolutely right. If it weren't for exploring for work, or finding people to work for, or having them contact me, or I've discovered some really cool projects, and some really strange ones too. But
well, I am at the end of the game, which has actually there were 3 pieces of music we made, right? There's the main theme that plays during the intro and outro, and then there were also like a sort of win theme and a kind of you done gone messed up thing, which I kind of like. That was the other place that I squeezed a little bit of comedy in, was like the death scenes, which is just like really inane, silly stuff. And also all of the deaths, there are 3 possible deaths, and the first 2 of them are super cheap, and I feel like you stumble across them early on. And it's intentional, right? Like the idea of that you bust into this burning building and you start doing things like turning off the TV and stuff. The building's burning around you. That's terrible. Like you're on a mission, and if you don't focus on the mission, you're going to die. I like that aspect because it encourages you to be thoughtful about what your actions are, and it makes you feel a little bit more vulnerable than you would if those early deaths didn't happen. I see a lot of people go, oh my god, this game's got those kind of like unavoidable, or not unavoidable, just unsignaled deaths. Well, the whole point is that those deaths are signaling that later in the game you can die if you're not paying attention. And I think it works kind of well. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm pretty happy with it.
I mean, at first you get frustrated, right? At least you get frustrated early in the game.
Right, it happens
so that,
really early, so you don't lose much, right?
Right, exactly. And, well, unless you, go, unless you start at the top of the building and then do the cheats at the end.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think it's important to let a player know whether they can win or lose, or rather, let's use the point and click thing. Sierra games, there's 1,000,001 ways to die,
Yeah.
and LucasArts games, there's no way to die, really. Well, not,
For
not within
everything
reason.
Monkey
So,
Island and forwards, yeah. Just about.
right. So, and even in Maniac Mansion, it's where there technically are ways to destroy mansion or whatever. It's you get caught and you can still push a brick and help your bull escape, right? Sorry for the spoilers, but So I mean, I guess the point is like you should let the player know, before they get too frustrated. We don't want them to play all the way through the game and lose, and they'd be like, "Man, F that game," like they just rage quit. So killing someone off early is probably actually kind of a smart idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna finish up the game. I'm gonna read the outro as well. At some point down the track, maybe I will like perform that, but I don't know. I'm not that motivated right now. But we'll get to the end of the game. I might talk a little bit about the future, and then we'll zip on to the next game. Because thanks to 10 minutes of faffing around at the beginning, I'm running slightly behind time. Yay! Right, so we've saved everything. With another heroic act deftly performed, you begin trudging towards a train station, cursing that you didn't think to fill up your rocket boots before heading out of the Sea Slug Squad's hideout earlier in the day. As you leave the dimming fire behind, an ambulance carrying a distraught man and his son towards Hillwood Hospital speeds by you, and you wave good-naturedly. Moments later, a large fire truck passes you, sounding its horn. Several firefighters hang from the back, salute you. Litter from a nearby garbage can swirls around you as a sleek silver helicopter descends from the sky. The ineffable F leans out of the cockpit and asks what life is like on the ground. You roll your eyes and ask for a ride home. The ineffable F grins and agrees on the condition that you stop for pizza along the way. You quickly board the F-copter and speed off into the night.
I agree with that sentiment.
I dig this idea of like what is like a superhero crime fighter-y person do when they're not fighting crime or doing superhero stuff. Kind of like the Tick, the live action Tick like focuses on a lot of that kind of thing a bit. This feels like a similar kind of take of like. And I if I did follow-ups, I think I'd push on that a bit more. So it'd be like the spicy meatball does the taxes or something, It's this idea of like, what if you're doing your laundry and the only thing you've got access to are like the verbs that you would use to punch bad guys, like that kind of thing, like kapow
what if
and
they
sap
are,
and
add OxyClean.
Yeah, it's funny.
You use OxyClean on Batty.
Yeah. All right. And the score screen.
You do the laundry. You get marinara sauce all over it.
The score screen there was new as well. That was one of the things I added for Spicy Meatball Saves the Day. I had never done an icicle game with death. That was one thing that I wanted to explore, and I also wanted to explore this notion of like, what if puzzles had point values, and you get to the end and you're like, because this game is a lot more adventure gamey than any of the other icicle games I've made. It's got multiple paths, and a lot of those each path kind of excludes something else that you can't do on another path. And so this idea of like using a score to measure that you've done a certain amount, and then to come back later and kind of go, oh, how can I improve this? How can I how can I get a different score? I'm going to try one of the other entrances. Like, I feel like that was a worthwhile thing to do. But also, this became like the best showcase of the engine's features. After we added that extra sound and had that positional audio going on, I think that made it a really good example. And I got a whole bunch of news coverage and stuff as well, which was really cool. But yeah, on that note,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for being involved. I'm not sure what the future holds for Spicy Meatball, but yeah, maybe we'll see more again in the future.
I think with the amount of fire in the house and the fact that you are a meatball, there should, the future should hold a cookout of some sort.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never
Spicy
like.
meatball barbecue.
I saw a review which said that you play as a meatball, and I was like, what? Like I'd never considered that someone could consider that to be a literal meatball. Yeah, it's odd.
Oh, that's what I always thought.
Oh,
I was
really?
picturing literally like a meat with a cape the entire time
Oh,
in the
wow.
game.
So I was like, oh, it's a superhero with a silly name. You're like,
Oh,
I mean, it's
okay.
interpretable everywhere.
So you were thinking meathead.
I was thinking someone in someone in a bright costume and they just called themselves a spicy meatball because that's
Burly jock guy that decided to be a superhero or
yeah,
something.
maybe. But I intentionally left a lot of vagueness there. Like I didn't define the character's gender. I didn't say anything about them other than that they wore boots and a costume.
Yeah, I totally pictured, just like either like a meatball character
Wow.
with a cape, and
That's cool.
or maybe like a person with a meatball for a head or something, but definitely a meatball is a part of the persona. So
I have no problems with that. That's the cool thing about these games, like the text based.
you imagine yourself as the character.
Yeah, well, like it's
are a
open to
meatball.
interpretation, and it's all about what you imagine, and what you imagine is more or less correct, because that's the experience that you had. Like that's what I'm aiming for. That tells me that I've succeeded on some levels. So that's excuse me, pretty cool. So without further ado, or if you're not very well versed on saying without further ado, I'm going to move on to the next game. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a bunch of fun, and we'll talk again soon.
Cool. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. All right. Excuse me. So next up on the list, I have Hidden Star, and I am hoping that Refund and Nemoder will be joining me. Allow me a few moments to sort that out and set that up. I'm going to unmute myself here. Hello. Oh, hang on. I gotta like set up all my things because I haven't set up my things. I'm really on the ball today. So, hey Nemoder, how you doing? If you can hear me, I hope you can hear me. Because if you can't hear me, then everything's kind of not working so great. I'm gonna imagine that maybe you can't hear me. Oh no, it says that it's recording. Let's nudge Nemoder on Steam. Oh, you can only hear me on Twitch. That is a big punch in the nether regions. Alright, so while we're working out oh no, Mumble has crashed. Well, that's why no one can hear me on Mumble. Let me fix that one up. Oh. There we go. Hey, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you now.
Oh, hey, that's great. That's better. Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. Okay, I don't know what went wrong there, aside from other stuff happening. I saw that Refund had dropped into Mumble here maybe 10, 20 minutes ago, but I didn't quite catch him. Did you manage to catch him?
No, I was in a game. I didn't see.
No worries. All right. Well, I will attempt to touch base with him and sort that out. So, like last year, you and I got together and talked about Hidden Star, and what we were hoping to do with it, and where it was hopefully going to go and where it hopefully wasn't going to go. So Hidden Star is our sort of yeah. Again, I will let you describe it. And
All right. Well, back when we were little kids, eons ago, we started this game for a game jam. It seems like it's been ages. Yeah, so we just wanted to make a kind of a space exploration game and try to keep it confined within the rules of the jam, which was it had to fit in a 64 by 64 bit or pixel window. So that's pretty hard to do and still make an interface and controls and things make any kind of sense. We are able to scale it up so that you don't have to squint to see it, but it still makes it pretty challenging.
Yeah, it was an exciting check because I'd never really done much in the way of pixel art before. So yeah, it was quite tricky to work out. So since last year, we've added a few new features. We've also done a bit of prototyping as well. So I added in a let's just zip on around. We added a few new planets. I think the ice planet is new, which looks kind of cool. All the placeholder avatars or player portraits are still in there. I haven't had a chance to redo those. I would like to redo them, but sadly was not able to. Just give me 1 second. I might have refund somewhere else. He might have dropped into Talkie.io, I'm not sure, but we'll find out. So yeah, we had this kind of, I guess maybe point-and-click adventure-ish type thing. Let's see if we can trade. We will trade with you. Yeah, sweet.
I know you hadn't played Star Control, but it was always kind of in the back of my mind of kind of like a base to kind of focus around how the game would function. But yeah, it starts off mostly as an adventure game, but you have to, gather resources and win fights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So this is the trade interface that we've got at the moment. I don't know how final it is, but we wanted to have a whole bunch of different types of cargo. We're talking about this idea of maybe each cargo type requires a different type of storage, so you upgrade your ship with stuff for handling, storing solid matter, maybe normal cargo containers, special containers for holding liquids, special containers for holding gases, special containers for holding life forms, so your life support on those. Special stuff for technology, so it might be EM shielded or whatever. But this idea of limiting the cargo that you can carry by the cargo that you can carry, I thought was kind of cool. And we wanted to pack in, all these different cargo types into this buy and sell interface. So the person who's selling has a quantity of ultranium ore here that we can buy. So we've got 20 slots available there. We've got 20 slots of each, I think, by default. But then we've got petrified poo as well. So we can find out more about ultranium ore here, which is ores of the highest ultranium quality. Unfortunately, that's quite low. We had to do all sort of silly descriptions for each of the inventory things. This was all temporary stuff. We got lava. What's the description? It's very hot rocks. Right, that's not very exciting. Yeah, just sort of wanted to fill up things. You got pet rocks. You doubt they're alive, but the manifest says that they're life forms. Right, that one's less exciting. Circus fleas. There's even a tiny trapeze. Howler monkeys. They're really quite loud.
A lot of this is just placeholder stuff we were thrown in until we can actually get an economy. The idea is to have an actual simulated trade system at some level so that there's supply and demand and you have to actually find things that people want. And
that's something else I wanted to talk about as well was the economy. How do we want to manifest the economy? You've been thinking about stuff, I've been thinking about stuff. We haven't got anything implemented yet, but yeah, what are your thoughts as far as where things will go from there?
I think we just need to sketch out like the end products, like the kind of ships and things and weapons that we want to have in the game, and then try to come up with components for those things, and those can be, you know, the trade items that are most in demand, I guess.
Yeah. We also talked about this idea of like how we simulate supply and demand, and maybe generating other cargo transport ships within the universe, like fulfilling that supply and demand. So if you know that a planet's rich in a certain thing and another planet's you know, desperately needs it, that you might be more likely to find other ships transporting that stuff between those places. And so if you want to play a kind of piratey type role, you could go and yoink that gear. By understanding supply and demand, you're potentially able to take advantage of that. I think was something that we talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also, like, another thing that's new and amazing, and I feel really bad for not being able to get refund in here just now. I'm actually gonna fire up my email client and see if I've like missed an email from him or something. Is we got all this cool music in. You got any thoughts on the music?
I think it's pretty cool. You know, I'm not musically inclined to the point where I can offer suggestions or good feedback, but yeah, I think it's great.
And I feel like the implementation's like super temporary, and Refund and I have been talking about better ways to implement the music and better ways to excuse me, express the different factions' characterization and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to expanding on that and building it into something that's, you know, more cohesive and more vibrant and interesting. So right now we just start one of, I think, 3 or 4 random tracks, depending upon what you're doing. If you're in combat, it's a different track. If you're just doing dialogue, it's this track. If you're exploring in space, it's a different track. We're talking about ways of maybe allowing us to, because they're all in the same time and in the same key, maybe we can transition between them in an interesting way that makes it all feel a bit more cohesive. And I'm super looking forward to doing that, exploring that. So
yeah, I think that all ties into the trade stuff too. Is like we can hammer out exactly the kind of races and characters and ships and things, and then build on that and create the environment around it.
Yeah. We added I don't really have any ability to show it off right now, but we have like a dialogue system that I'd been working on, which is used to drive this menu here. We haven't really used it for anything more, but we really want to sort of explore what's the what am I saying, Nemoder? Save me. No, we want to make it so that you can interact with the other ships and planets and star bases and people in the universe in interesting ways, you know. And I think that dialogue system is going to play a big role in making that possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the overall theme is that we have different aliens and they have different relationships with each other and or empires, and so, you know, being able to have that dialogue and position yourself, you know, so that you're allied with some of them and not others, and things like that.
Yeah.
A little bit like Star Control.
Which I never played, and I can't remember if we really talked about it in depth last year or not. But for me as well, like I'd always had this vision of a sort of space exploration, adventure, trading, combat game that I wanted to make and was excited about. You know, I'd had several false starts at making this kind of game, and I was really excited to actually get to a point where we've got something that's nearly playable now. That's like a big thing for me personally as well. I also really, really dig the music. So something else I wanted to show in addition to the game itself was you've done a little bit of prototyping of. Let me bring it up. Let me close this thing here and open this thing over here. What was it called? Is it in the standalone?
Oh, the hyperspace stuff?
Yeah, I wanna. Yeah. Hyper?
Yeah, that was the most recent thing I worked on, and the graphics are just whatever I could throw together because I'm no artist, but I like the concept of being able to just kind of explore on a 2D plane since it's not really a 3D game that you could fit in such a tiny window. So having a window that you can, fly around on a map and kind of explore the area, I think adds a lot to the game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this idea of initially we wanted to have like you're going through these kind of hyperspace tubes, and it's like those handheld race car games where you've got to like dodge to avoid the other ships or asteroids or debris or whatever in the hyperspace lane. Yeah. And we experimented with that a bit, but couldn't really find anything that like a rendering style that really worked well with that at 64 pixels.
That was
by
part of it.
Pixels.
And I think, like even if we could get something like that worked well enough that really, I just don't know that it would be that fun. I mean, we've all kind of played those games, and they're fun for like a minute or two, and then you're just so tedious. So, but what I come back to is the exploration stuff. Like I never get tired of that. I love just exploring a new area and mapping it out in my head, and so I kind of thought, why don't we just do that instead? And maybe we can still have little mini games for other kind of things, but that made more sense for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm kind of digging where this is going. I did like the idea of having a having the sort of tube network, and part of the gameplay is looking at on the map at what your route's going to be and taking the right turnoffs at the right time. And if you take the wrong turnoffs, you might end up somewhere else. Like have things that aren't on the map that you can accidentally stumble across, or if you consciously explore.
Yeah, I think we could still do something like that.
But yeah, I think that's what I was going to say. Is I think that this kind of presentation or implementation has opportunity to let us do that kind of thing as well. But yeah, so that's where this is looking at the moment. Another thing that we were talking about was maybe letting players acquire resources from planets directly, and this idea that you send a drone down or something, and I dig the idea of using this kind of interface to let you drive your drone around the planet, pick up stuff.
Yeah.
Because the planet graphics are a bit higher resolution than you see in the game, and the idea that we could take advantage of that and get double use out of the assets is kind of appealing as well.
Yeah.
But
we definitely need better graphics for the hyperspace thing right now.
Yeah.
It took like 2 minutes to throw some players together, and it's like, yeah, it works.
Alright, so Refund has sent an email saying that he joined. He had some network issues, and he's got some other stuff going on, so he's going to he's going to try and join us again another time. So thanks anyway, Refund. Your music is super cool. I absolutely love the pants out of it, and I'm looking forward to expanding what we can do and how we do it in future builds. And thank you also, Nemoder, for joining me today to talk about Hidden Star. We're probably going to ship a new build soon, whatever soon means. I guess when both of us get a chance to sit down and think about the game and what we want to add to it next. I would like to get the economy stuff up and running soon, and maybe
it seems kind of like the base of what a lot of other things depend on, so it'd probably be a good place to start.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, so on that note, I'm gonna wrap up Hidden Star and move on to the Farrier. Thanks again, and I will catch up with you at some point soon.
See you later.
Alright, excuse me. Right, so next on the list is a game called The Farrier, and with me in chat, hopefully I have Kednar and Flesk.
Hello.
That's Kednar. And I don't know whether Flesk has a mic or not. We will hopefully hear from him if he's still around. But while we wait for that, I'm going to get the game itself up and happening. So how have you been, Kednar?
Hello.
Hey, Flesk, how you doing? You
Do
might.
you hear me?
I can hear you. You might
We
want
hear
to
you,
pause
Flesk.
the stream though.
Hello.
Hey, Flesk, how you doing? It's all good. I mean, this is what streaming is all about, right? So I'm gonna try and share my screen to you guys so that you can see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us? That's all good. I mean, this is what streaming is all about, right? So I'm gonna try and share my screen to you guys so that you can see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us? I don't think that Flesk can hear us. Would you mind sending
I
him?
see. I think I have a bit of a delay here.
Would you mind sending him a message, Kednar, explaining that we can
Yeah,
hear the
just
stream? Yeah, cheers. Thanks, dude. I totally cannot see the Farrier in the list of windows.
Oh, I think I can hear you now.
Hey, how you doing?
There. Hi. I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So I would love you guys, while I fiddle with all of this stuff, to describe the Farrier in your own words.
It's about dinosaurs.
Yeah. And taking care of dinosaurs. Yeah, it's a sort of a point and click adventure, but there's no inventory. It's about taking care of dinosaurs.
I've been
They talk to
describing it
you.
more as like a sort of visual novel type thing in terms of
I
the
think that's
implementation.
Good.
Yeah, Toki.io is not letting me share the game, but I will totally describe to you what is going on there.
Okay.
Sorry, I feel bad. I also wanted to like bring up our concept art and stuff, but my OBS isn't recognizing my image viewer, so we're kind of not doing so great on that front. But yeah, so the Farrier is this game about a dinosaur farrier, someone who like looks after the feet of dinosaurs. And her name is Yem, and in the intro cutscene, which I'm about to show, we get to see her learning a little bit about her trade and a little bit about dinosaurs from her grandfather. So we made this for Adventure Jam last year. I think it was in April or something.
Yes, April or May. Yes, I think it was April. I looked at my GitHub history yesterday, and it was pretty active around that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, April, I think. Yeah.
And I had a couple of other projects on the go at the same time. So I did like a bunch of concept art and a bunch of like just general game design and a bunch of plot stuff and a little bit of writing, and then sort of guided you guys through making the game, making a few commits here and there, but mostly sort of directing the project rather than contributing directly. Which I wish I had more time for, but I am absolutely blown away with what you guys were able to put together. So awesome work.
Yeah, it was for the fun.
So Flesk, you did most of the programming and implementation. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? We used like Escoria.
Yes, I was very new to both Godot and Escoria at the time, so I sort of was learning while I was doing stuff, and it was fun to learn and to work with, but I feel like I made a huge mess of the code, so I've been trying to clean up some of that afterwards.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of game jams, right? Is that you want to focus more on getting things working and getting things done as
Yeah.
quickly as or as quickly as you can. I guess you're more focused on functionality than on prettiness, I
Yeah.
suppose. But a bunch of the work that we did, or a bunch of the work that you did, I really can't take credit for any of this, but led to some upstream contributions to the Escoria framework as well, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about
that's.
the contributions that we made there?
I don't remember exactly what ended up upstream, but we have made a few contributions since too that has ended up, but I don't really remember what was made especially for this jam. That I know we also made some contributions before that for the Amnesia Adventure Jam.
Oh, that's right. That's true.
So
So all three of
I
us
don't
also
really-
contributed to another game jam game, or a couple of game jam games that were made during Double Fine's Amnesia Fortnight. We made a sort of pinball and pong hybrid thing called Pong Ball, and we made Amnesia Adventure, which you mentioned just before, which is sort of meant to be this collaborative point-and-click adventure where anybody could contribute a room to the game, and it would all kind of fit together nicely, and didn't come out quite as well as we had hoped, but
No.
it happens.
Yeah.
But Kednar, so like the visual style of this game is the number one thing that everybody comments on. Do you want to talk about how we settled on that? How we developed things into the shape that they eventually became?
Do they comment positively?
Yes, they do. Everybody loves the hell out of the artwork.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. No, it was absolutely a pleasure to work with you guys on this project. I don't know. I'm not a professional illustrator per se. I do draw a bit, so I was a bit out of my comfort zone, but I embraced that. Like they always say, right? You have to go out of your comfort zone, try to learn new things. So I had a lot of fun with it. Anyway, I used Krita, and it helped me to learn more of that software. No?
Had you used Krita much before?
Yeah, but not as much like painting like that. Yeah. Also, in the other game we did, the Amnesia Adventure, I just enjoyed that a lot because you have a 2D character, and I was a bit inspired by Double Fine's
Broken Age.
Broken Age.
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Man, it was so much fun to paint. I'm trying to imitate a bit this style, right, with this rough texture. Not so much in the Farrier, but on the Amnesia Adventure, and it was really nice workflow with Godot as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I really liked the stuff that you made there. It was really cool. So mechanically, this version of the Farrier didn't quite come out how we'd planned. So the game is meant to be about learning dinosaur words. So as we care for the dinosaur, we hear the dinosaur make sounds. If we make this sound back to that dinosaur, you learn that word and you understand what it means. And next time you say something to a dinosaur, you will be able to sort of read in English what that translates to. And narratively, we like this idea of like we've got this very insular character, this insular protagonist who doesn't really interact much with the human people in the world around her, but she does interact with the dinosaurs, and by interacting with the dinosaurs, she learns things that the other people can't know or won't know. And the sort of puzzle or situation that kind of drove the concept in my mind was this idea of like someone's lost a ring or something, and they don't know where it is, and they're a bit upset about it, and they're kind of absent-minded, and as a human, they just a little bit inscrutable and irrational and awful. But talking to the dinosaur, dinosaur saw that it was dropped in the garden or something, and then you have that knowledge, without sort of interrogating the person about where it came from. So there's these words that it makes a no is a word that we've already learned. But I feel like we got to the end of the jam and we had a certain amount of the game implemented, and we realized that there wasn't enough time to both discover that you could learn words and intentionally learn enough words to make that useful, or to start to explore any of the mysteries of what we wanted to put into the game. So there's this idea that you say soothing words and that calms the dinosaur, and so there's this kind of balance between, do you use a soothing word here, or do you push towards learning something about a dinosaur. And here we've found that there's grain missing, and the dinosaurs know something about what's going on there. But again, there's not quite enough. We didn't quite get enough game ready before the end of the jam to really truly explore what that meant. So what we've been doing in the meantime, which I don't have here, is Flesk, myself, and Kednar as well have been poking around with trying to expand upon the concept a bit more. We had all these different foot care tools, but we didn't have mechanics in place to take advantage of any of them. We're expanding those out. We're implementing those foot care mechanics. I think Flesk has been working on this cleaning mechanic where the foot will be covered in dirt and you have to clean the dirt away before you can tend to a wound and that sort of stuff. Excuse me, Kednar and I have been talking about trying to get more than just a couple of differently coloured parasaural officers into the game, which I think they're gorgeous, but just more diversity of the dinosaurs themselves I think will make the game feel a lot more rounded and a lot more full. And then instead of having 3 encounters with the people of the town here, or having 3 customers to care for, I think we also have some bugs, because I think we've just ended up talking to the same character several times, but these things happen. Bugs, good times. But yeah, like as far as where we could take the game from here, Kednar, do you have any feelings about things that you would like to achieve with the new version that we've been working on?
I would really love to draw more dinosaurs. It would add so much, and then, as you say, like if the game gives you enough time to solve the mystery and so on, that would be really good. Even though if you don't go out to the town as we were imagining,
right,
you stay within your workshop and so on, but you explore the narrative via your clients and the dinosaurs. I would be really happy just to have that kind of mystery solving by talking to dinosaurs. Yeah, and I like that's the core of the game, right? And I think that's important for us to like specifically expose. We did as Kednar mentioned, we did have this concept of like after closing time in your workshop, you can go out into the town and it's like a point and click adventure. You walk around, you do things, so maybe you know where the ring is, so you can go and collect the ring, and maybe knock on a door and give it back, or keep it for yourself. I don't know. But this idea of like exploring the town when the town is like it's evening and everyone's in having their dinner or something, and you're kind of this character on your own exploring this fairly empty village. I kind of like that idea. I don't think we'll work. We're not even going to touch any of that during the next build. I think that would only be something that we would pursue if we decided to develop this out into a larger project. But yeah, like to give the idea of like when we were doing it for the jam, we went, here's a really big thing. How can we distill it down into something small and make that playable? And I think we did a good job of latching onto that.
I don't know how you guys feel about that, but Flesk, is there anything that you're
Yeah, yeah, really.
specifically looking forward to accomplishing with the new version that we're working towards?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to implementing some more of the mechanics we had in mind, like the cleaning mechanics that I've been working a bit on now.
We've got like a
And
proof of
also,
concept of that
yeah,
already.
so that's
Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of working, but it's not quite there yet. It's very rough. So that will hopefully be done in maybe a couple of weeks or something, whenever I have time
Fingers
to
crossed.
work on it. Yeah.
I think there's a pull request from you that I haven't reviewed yet, which I would like to deal with as well.
Yeah, I noticed the dialogue at the bottom, it closes upwards, and
Yeah.
I think that's been fixed.
Yeah,
in a
that's
pull
what
request.
that pull request is. All right, well that should be easy
Yeah.
to test and merge. Flesk, something that I can't remember whether it was intentional or whether it even is, but is this guy here? Is he Indiana Jones?
Are you asking me?
Oh, sorry, Kednar. I beg your pardon.
Right.
If he's still around.
Sorry.
This
I don't-
last customer with the hat and the whip are we drawing inspiration from Indiana Jones there?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, because I don't see the image.
Oh yeah, sorry.
online.
Yeah, I couldn't find a way to share it. I think maybe OBS is blocking it, or maybe Talkie.io doesn't like OpenGL windows. I really am not sure. But I gotta say, like, the number one cutest thing in this game is probably the little dinosaur that we stuck on the counter.
Yeah. I need to 3D print that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a last second thing, wasn't it? Like, it was something that we put in right at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it brings some color contrast and some cute thing in the desk. So actually, I could. I mean, I'm like a 3D artist. I could just. Okay, well, I will make it like a little soft, rounded, 3D printed thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably a better Blender artist than I am. So you're probably in a good position to be able to do that. But I.
No, we can make it together actually.
Yeah.
So that's like
I would love to.
We
have
don't
one.
have a finished game, but we already have merchandise. That's how it works, right?
Yep. Do you guys want to say something?
About the game?
I just as a microphone test, I unfortunately had Steam VR throw a hissy fit and eat all my CPU and everything exploded. So I if you guys said anything over the last like 5 minutes, I maybe potentially didn't hear a damn thing.
Yeah, we were just planning how to repopulate the world.
You could take over the world. I'm going to use the last thing here, and then probably wrap this up. Was there anything that you guys wanted to do or say about the project before we wrap up?
Oh man, I just love it. Really happy we got together to do it, and we spent 2 weeks, like full time.
Yeah, and I also had other projects on the go, so I couldn't give it 100% of my attention. But and also, were you were doing something? Were you moving house or changing workplaces or something? And I
Who,
think
me?
Flesk had a lot of extra work. I think all of us had something that took us
Yeah.
away from
Yeah.
the project during those 2 weeks as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm happy that we did so much
Hmm.
in such a short amount of time. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
do again.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of the work I did on the game was in just the last half a week of the jam or something, because I didn't have much time before that.
Yeah. So in fact, if you would really want to continue it, we should just book a week or two,
Yeah, it would be
just
kind
go
of cool
for
to
it,
do in
right?
little sprints like that, I think.
raise
Yeah.
some money maybe.
Like this idea that with the last character you can get a little bit confrontational and you can say, you know, this dinosaur is staying here.
I love that. I love that you can choose in the dialogue
Yeah.
how you treat the dinosaurs, and that's perfect. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we also had Milan was helping out a little bit with writing, which
Oh, yeah, sure.
we didn't mention. I sent him an email, but I haven't heard back from him, so he hasn't joined us today. But he was moving house during the jam, so he didn't have an internet connection at his new house, which made collaborating quite a challenge. But yeah, it was good fun, and I'm really happy that we, even if we didn't get to make the whole game that we wanted to make, I'm really happy that we made as much as we did, and that we're able to continue working on it. So thanks heaps, guys. Yeah, looking forward to moving ahead with that soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Alright, so now I'm going to mute you guys, and I'm going to unmute Jasmine and Caroline. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Oh, a dino thing. Oh, that's cute.
Alright, so, Jasmine, you've been with the project the longest. Would you like to describe what Winter's Wake is while I get everything up and working?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Winter's Wake is a very, very interesting game that I've been very proud to be a part of for quite some time. I guess main thing that catches everybody's eye is a text adventure that can be played in VR.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not something you hear in the same sentence when describing a game.
A VR text adventure, no.
Yeah. But no, it's a really great concept that certainly caught my attention when you first asked me to jump onto it. And
that'd have been back in
I still feel
2014.
Oh, yeah. It was during my first year of college. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was in 2014. That was a while ago. I'm finally on my last year. Yay! And I remember because you and I met in a random Guns of Icarus lobby.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was so long ago. My goodness. You were super nice, and I thought this guy is super cool. And so I know that we played a lot of Guns of Icarus, and then we got to know each other more of you saying, "Hey, I make games." I'm like, "Oh my god, I do sound for games." Like, whoa, let's do stuff.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's also it's super cool to be working with someone who gets the concept, who understands what the game is. And because Winter's Wake is like an important game to me personally, it's doubly important for me to have people, to be working with people that I feel that I can trust, to understand and to represent what the project is trying to be. That's super important to me.
Yeah, I've always had really great enthusiasm with this game. Every time that you and I talked about it, I would always get re-inspired to do a lot of things. Since I've been in college like this entire time that we've been working on this. I've been trying to consistently contribute as much as I could. And since this game is all about environmental audio and capturing, might have been capturing all about nature settings and a lot of really organic sounds. And where I go to school is in San Francisco, so there's a lot of lots of cars and people yelling and just craziness happening all the time, which you might hear in the background as we discuss all this.
Yeah, I think we already heard the siren.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens quite a bit. So whenever I did go home, and home for me is in the Central Valley of California in the US, it's lots of lovely nature, and I definitely went on a recording frenzy whenever I would go home.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to like once or twice a year get a bunch of new sound recordings from you as well. Like it's like a little bit of treasure that that shows up every now and again. It's cool.
Yeah, it was so scattered. I wish I could have done a whole lot more. Yet, college takes up a lot of time, and finally gonna be done with it. So by September, I have my full attention.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I started Winter's Wake for the last 7-day FPS game jam, and I thought, yeah, I can make this game in 7 days. And it's been 3 years, so no.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caroline, would you like to describe what Winter's Wake means to you, and maybe a little bit of what you've helped out with?
Okay, so when you first showed it to me, I was blown away and then went, I need my headphones for this. So I was trying to look for it. I know this is like something kind of weird. So when I first started it up, I went, oh yeah, this is really cool that it's all first person. And oh my gosh, I can spin and look all over the place. And yeah, I needed to go get the headphones out. And yeah, I was just absolutely blown away by the surroundings and all the sound effects all around you. So for anyone who hasn't played it before, you are first person camera, turn the camera around. All the sounds just go around your head, and yeah, I say just go experience it. I can't
There's
describe it
a
very
playable demo up now for anybody who hasn't seen it. And we recently took a new build of the game because I did a demo, a public demo that I released like when I launched my Patreon campaign a couple of years ago. And my plan was to update it like every couple of months or something with new features, but it was always tricky to find a stopping point because I always had like half implemented stuff that I didn't want to like ship out a half broken build, and I never really found time to update the demo. But I'd been working on the engine, I'd been working on the game ever since, and when we took the game to PAX Australia last year, I was able to like tie everything up and put together a more polished build, which Caroline, you helped out a little bit with finding some placeholder sounds, and Jasmine, we were able to put a couple more of your sounds in as well, which is sweet. But Caroline also volunteered to help man the stand at PAX and describe the game to people and introduce people to the concept and help people through. But you also did pretty much all of the pre-PAX testing and QA. Which was super helpful for me. Without you, it would have been a super buggy mess.
You've made a really awesome game. So, it's been heaps of fun working with you on this.
So I'm going to fire up the game now, and we're going to hear a little bit of Anton's music. So Anton is the other team member who's not here. He's the composer, and one of the things that we were able to push into the new build was audio. And that was really cool. So I'm going to fire up that now, and hopefully it will be audio. Hopefully it will be audible, because it's actually quite a quiet game, and exhibiting at PAX was a big challenge in that regard. But yeah, so let me fire that up.
Those sound noise cancelling headphones you had were amazing for PAX, just because you sit there, you put on the headphones, and PAX kind of vanished, which is great. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wish I could have been there.
It was nice actually, with all din of the floor, and you put it on and you go, oh, I get to walk around and be in the forest and hear some birds, and it was actually really nice in the middle of PAX.
Oh, I'm sure I would have. If I could have, I would have. That's across the globe for me.
So the game is being naughty and quitting every time that I try and is that going to show up? All right, hooray! Now the game is on screen and I can run it. So in the background, we should have been, or we should be hearing Anton's music, but we will hear it later in the game. So I'm going to run the intro. I'm not going to read. We're all going to be quiet and listen because Anton's music is amazing.
Great.
Amazing. So we get this really big musical number. What we didn't get to hear very much of was the much quieter piece that that plays during the menu, and that's what's the best way to describe that? Anton made that, and we talked about its role within the game, and we found that it was too long to do what we wanted to do, which is like when you leave this first scene and you find yourself at the crossroads, you want to have this short piece that plays that communicates a sort of a sense of possibility and a sense of adventure, and sort of excitement for what's to come. And we had this sort of minute and a half long piece, which sounds great, but it also means that before it ends, you have a chance to like be 5 scenes away. Whereas we cut it down to something that I think is like 16 seconds long or 20 seconds long or something. But that longer piece, it made sense to push it into the main menu. And I really like that it gives players exposure to this piece of music, and you're like, okay, so this is the game's identity, and then you get this huge thing that is the intro where you get caught in the avalanche, and it's all very, very big and very, very loud. And then you come back into the game and you hear it again later on, and the short version of the music reminds you of the long version of the music that you heard at the menu, and I really dig that. But yeah, so we're here at the avalanche. We've got a broken leg after being caught in after getting caught in the avalanche. One of the new things that I added in the demo is every time you enter a scene, there's a prompt that you have to click through. And that's like sets the scene, introduces everything that's going on. Previously I didn't have that, and the Refund says in chat that this is like a juxtaposition between the quiet ambience of the game, where we're here in the avalanche, we can hear the distant birds and the waterfall and that sort of stuff going on, and it is all very quiet. It is all very just kind of understated a little bit, and you're just existing here, you know. But then the music provides this like fantastic counterpoint to that. So another thing that's new is we put a new compass in, which angles slightly up and down as you look around, and also has like a kind of neat visual style to it that's way better than just a equilateral triangle. Oh, it's not even an equilateral triangle, it's a right angle triangle, but yeah. And a square dot. So now we've got a slightly fancier looking thing there, which I think is the direction that I want to take the whole HUD in. The compass I want to give a little bit more flair and styling to, and then after talking to some players about their feelings of like inherently this is not it's inherently a disorienting game, but I don't think it's a nausea-inducing game. But there are some people who need a few more constant visual anchors, and so I'm thinking of putting like little corner pieces in, like you might have on an old-timey picture book or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something I've been thinking about. So in this version of the demo, you pick up a branch to use as a. This sucks. So yeah, I've added gamepad support in, and it's picking up clicks from my mouse as gamepad input. So when I click, it's like it's pressing escape, which really sucks. And I'm thinking about the best way to deal with this right now, which is going to be to quit the game and recompile it, which happens super fast. So in the meantime, excuse me, I might get you guys to talk about maybe if there's anything that you hope to see in the game, or something that you would like to look forward to, or to work on, or see me work on. You guys can talk about that while I hastily pretend that this isn't happening, and work to get this up and running.
Well, I find the ambience is really nice, like especially the starting part in the forests. That's still my most favorite part. The town I like as well, the ambience of the town. I'm just trying to think of something else. Now I've just got Monkey Island stuck in the head because it's got a lot of door noises everywhere. You know, like
Yeah.
from the very first Monkey Island. Yeah, that was what I had in mind when I was putting door noises in, and now I'm going, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
No, I think that might even have been the direction that I gave you. Like that was definitely where I was coming from as well.
Yeah, I know I wanted to I did wanted to I had like a big Foley session in my garage and in my bedroom for I was really trying to do like a lot of the blacksmith sounds, and some things came out better than others. I really wanted to like spend a lot more time with editing everything, and of course with my lovely schedule, I never really got the chance to dive in to the audio as much as I wanted to. I mean, my fondest memories of doing all this stuff though is I did go to the Sequoia National Park a lot. I went up there to record like a whole bunch of stuff around creeks and lakes and in the snow as well. I went up there and destroyed my shoes for the sake of getting wonderful footsteps in the snow. But God, it was a lot of fun, and I always brought some guinea pigs up with me because I would either say, "Hey, you guys want to take a trip to the mountains? Fooled you. You're gonna be my Foley artist today," as I point a microphone at you.
Oh, for a moment I thought you meant literal guinea pigs.
Oh,
Oh no, they're gonna be frozen.
oh no, my goodness. If anything, I could have tried to bring my
Oh,
cat to get some lovely footsteps of him going everywhere.
Oh, isn't
Be
there a
fun.
cat in the healer's hut actually?
There
Yes.
is. There is.
Yeah.
I tried to record so much with my cat, but my cat is really, really lazy and doesn't like to move around.
I
But,
gotta say, I'm really
I-
sad that I didn't record my cat purring to go in there, because he passed away a couple of years ago, and it would have been super nice to give him just a little bit of presence in my game.
Yeah, that would have been really sweet.
Yeah.
But I have the
know
game
I'll
up and running.
Definitely.
That's how
Oh,
long it
good.
took me to
Oh.
edit the input manager, disable gamepad input, and then start up the game again. And we can hear Anton's lovely music here.
Oh, gotta say, I really like your blacksmith sounds. Those were cool. First time stepping in the smithy.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I really liked it. It's great.
I think half
Great,
of
thank
those
you.
are things that I got from Freesound, and half of them are ones that you provided, Jasmine. So I sort of been mixing it up. I wanna start replacing, because I did use a lot of stuff from Freesound as placeholders to like help us get the tone or the pacing or the aural density of the game happening, and so that's something that I want to sort of work towards replacing with original recordings as much as we can. Like I'm not super stressed
Oh, yeah.
about it, but I do think that it's kind of cool for us to be able to push in a lot of things that we've kind of creatively made and creatively put together. But yeah, so the game's up and running.
That's definitely.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, good.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh yeah, just a quick thought. That's definitely one of the main goals that I have. While Freesound is a lovely resource that I use all the time. I use Freesound, I use Pond5, even just
Yeah.
stuff on YouTube, and I just edit everything. But one of my biggest goals for this game is to at least try to replace the majority of all that with my own things, and
Yeah.
dedicate more time to editing stuff while I do have summer coming up in May. I do also have summer school, which
I got my own recording gear too.
It impedes more of my time. But
Yeah.
I know I know I will be working more on trying to edit everything that I have now, and then eventually record some more fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's super cool. You know, I'm not sure when the game's gonna ship, and that's probably gonna be a big deciding factor on how and where we source a lot of the stuff that goes into the game.
Right.
But you know, like you say, like there are some fantastic resources out there, and the fact that we can make use of those either for stuff in the shipping game or for like kind of the audio equivalent of concept art or a mood board or whatever, I think is super cool. And I have been acknowledging the users who've uploaded stuff in my third-party assets list, even if they're
great.
Creative Commons zero, even if they're public domain. Like, I still feel like it's kind of cool to say, hey, here's where we got it from. Here's the cool person's work, you know.
Yeah, there seems to be like a common courtesy like that with free sound.
Yeah. So we've heard the menu music loop a couple of times. I'm gonna jump back into the game. Wherever it is. And we're gonna skip the intro because we heard that already. And now I'm gonna actually, pick up the branch and stuff. And it's still doing. What the hell have we done? What the hell have I done? Did I run the right version of the game? Okay, I'm gonna try that. Ah dear, how disappointing and frustrating and awkward and awful. But you get to see my face while I look at my code. And what I'm
hearing things about code just gives me like war flashbacks to my coding class.
Oh yeah. Okay, now it's behaving. I have bugs to fix. I'm surprised that I haven't come across this in the time that I've been working on the game since PAX. I'm absolutely blown away that I haven't come across this. So anyway, coming back to all of that, we've listened to the menu, we've heard Anton's cool menu.
Write it down.
Yeah. Well, I've got a diff now of all the changes that I made to get to this point, so I can easily work it out. Wow. Dear, but that's game development for you, right? So we picked up a
Oh my god, yeah.
we've picked up a branch, and now we're leading into the crossroads, and we're going to hear that same piece of music again. There you go, just a little tiny refrain. I think Jasmine and Caroline can't hear that, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is, sadly. You guys will definitely have heard that already anyway, so it's not so big a deal, but yeah, it's like I really love that we've got this tiny version of the theme, because that's we call it the adventure theme, but really that's the theme of the game, and the theme of the game is kind of really important to push early, and sort of get that sense of setting the mood for what the rest of the game is. But now we can head south to the lake, and it's the waterfall's a lot louder here. Oh, sounds like I've dropped out of talkie.io, so I'm just gonna reset that. I don't know what's going on there. We'll see if that starts behaving again. Maybe. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, there we go. Sorry about that. So,
oh, you're back.
I have the game up and running. We're now at the lake.
Oh, good.
We're going to pick up some stones from the shore there, and we're going to throw them at the lake. So, Caroline, did you see any feedback from people at PAX that you thought was particularly interesting?
Oh, let's see. There were a lot of people in awe and really wanting to explore the world. I mean, especially in the very first scene after the avalanche and they land in, and then as a lot of people have noticed how it's quite bold in the introduction and then it's very quiet on people afterwards. So there's a lot of people wanting to explore this first region as well as just looking around. And then trying to tell people you can look up and down as well. Not just, is laterally the right word?
Yeah.
For looking left and right? Yes, yes. So just telling them that you can also look up and down. And then people go, oh, I can look up and down? Really? Yes, yes you can. That was kind of cute actually.
Yeah, no, it's true, and there were people, because I didn't like lock off the end of the demo. I let people continue out into the rest of the unpolished game, and there was one girl, I mean I can't find it in my logs, so I must be misremembering, but it seemed like she played for about an hour and a half, which is like, it's crazy. I think the longest play session that I could find was about an hour, so that was probably her, and I just assumed it was longer than it was. But yeah, she went and explored everywhere and did everything, and that was like, that's crazy to see, you know.
Yeah, it's great.
The fact that somebody could spend that long playing a game at an event like PAX, where you got people watching over your shoulder, and that's never the right environment to hear. excuse me, to hear people, to play an adventure game. Like, it always feels a bit weird when you got other people like, why are they taking so long to solve this puzzle, you know, like, it can be a little bit off-putting. And then it's crazy loud as well, and this is a super quiet game, but people still just got right into it, in a lot of cool ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and then where there was people who were playing and they had friends with them or family with them, and they were all trying to chime in at once on what to do and pointing at screen for various things, even though only one person had the headphones on.
That's really cute.
It was very cute.
Yeah, and I liked that as well, that there were lots of adults who had histories with text adventures, who were showing kids that they were into this, not this kind of thing, but something that this reminded them of. Like this was sort of a bridging point for a lot of people's relationships as they like introduced each other to their pasts and stuff, and it wasn't just.
I love that.
Yeah, that was amazing to see. But then there was also this other aspect of like, there was one guy who was like, his kid was like, I want to play this one, and the dude was like, nah, you won't enjoy this one. This one's got a lot of reading. And the kid's like, no, I want to play this one. So they sat down and he played it, and apparently he really loved it. And I'm like, they went away talking about, what it was like and how they felt like they were there and stuff, and that's just amazing, you know.
Oh yeah, that's great. I love how games are able to like really bring people together like that, especially like people who probably have never really played games before, and they find something that piques their interest, or even with the older generation growing up with lots of DOS games and text adventure stuff, and getting them introduced into like a new version of something like this. That's wonderful. I wish I could have been there to see that.
Yeah, I wrote an article about my experiences with exhibiting it, and it's quite long and in depth, and I got lists of all my expenses and lists of all the different bits of coverage and stuff that I got along the way. But I also wrote about things that I would do differently next time, or things that I would have liked to have done, and sort of one of the things that I would have liked to have done most was to given you and Anton more of a chance to be there and more of a chance to be a part of things. If I could have paid for plane tickets, I would have had you over here in a flash.
No, it's fine. I think it was during my semester, I couldn't have missed class.
But even to like have a photo of you guys, or like a little stand with a description of who you are and what you do, would have been cool to have. little memorial flowers.
Oh.
So someone in chat's asked whether or not
So
I
sad.
envision the idea of having small text for things that are far away or in your peripheral vision. And this is an interesting question. So the answer for that is like no. But I did experiment with like a whole bunch of different styles of game. I did like 4, maybe 5 prototypes before settling on this as being the game that I wanted to make. And some of those had text that existed in 3D space away from you and stuff, and some of them had like the words making the outline of the shape of the thing that you were looking at, and you know, like just a whole bunch of different things. And there are a whole stack of different valid games that you could make that revolve around the same kind of concept, but this is not the direction that I'm taking this one in. So we've done the thing. We've gone and found some healing, and we're about to take some rest after getting healed, and then we get the cool nightmare sequence, which brings back the music from the intro. I don't know if this will be in the full game, but for the sake of the demo, it's super nice bookending. Which is the main reason that I haven't been willing to let the public demo go beyond this point. Because then I have to make a decision about whether or not this is going to stay. Music is so good.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, we've got a few more tracks that haven't been heard in the demo here. This is too loud for me to talk over. So yeah, we've got a couple more tracks that are in the game. I'm gonna run the credits now, which has another music track in it, which is much quieter, and I can talk over that. But at PAX we were able to get a couple of those tracks up and happening. But this one's a lot louder than I remembered. Let me just turn that down a touch. Yeah, so there's like music that the bard in the middle of the town plays and stuff, and that's Anton playing, I think it might be a saz. And that's really cool. And then there's this music, which is this kind of, you know, sort of lonely kind of feeling, very, very peaceful. We talked about serene. I get kind of a sad vibe from it. I don't know if anybody else does, but we found the right place to stick this. We've also got a cave behind a waterfall that Anton did a piece of music for, and it's really good, but certainly much longer than would make sense for just one scene to be, and so I've like actually added a bunch more scenes behind the waterfall so that we can have more of that music be present throughout. You know, like you can be in there and you can explore around and still get this sense of a cool space. Yeah, it's really cool. And having played through the demo and having chatted with you guys about sound stuff and about PAX, I think that I'm probably going to wrap things up. Was there anything else that you guys want to say before we do?
I want to say it's a really amazing project.
Thank you. It's
I'm
been super
always blown
awesome to.
away
It's been really cool to
standing in the
collaborate with
areas,
both of
yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been really really fun, and I look forward to making some making some more stuff for it as my schedule begins to clear up, and I don't think I'll ever stop loving this game, quite honestly.
Mm.
Yeah, it's I think it's special. Whether or not other people find it that way when they play it, but certainly for me, and I think for you guys as well, like working on it and helping out with it, that it's something special, and that connection that you have with it is going to last a long time, I think. At least that's how it feels
Yeah,
to me.
thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, just thanks so much for even asking me to be on this. I greatly appreciate it. I'm thankful for it.
No, it's like I said, like it's an honor to be working with talented people, and it's super reassuring and like just creatively reassuring to be working with people that I trust to understand the game and know where to take it, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Sorry again for the extended delays there. Oh, you know what? I completely every time. Did I mention that localhoster, who is in chat at the moment, has been working on some music for the Farrier? We shipped the game jam build without any audio, and that was something that we wanted to address. And I every time I saw localhoster's name in chat, I was like, oh, when Flesk and Kednar stop talking, I will mention that localhoster has been doing music for it, and I don't think I did. So just gonna mention that now at the end that yeah, we explored around in a bunch of different spaces for what kind of music might be appropriate, and we think we've landed on some stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. I'm actually kind of disappointed that I didn't. What am I saying? Disappointed that I didn't find a cool way to show that debugging on stream that I did, where I was zipping through my input manager and stuff, because that would have been more interesting than just looking at the blank thing. But thank you to everybody for their patience while I did that. And thanks again to Nemoder and Kednar and Flesk and InversePhase and Jasmine and Caroline here for joining me. It's been super awesome to share in these cool projects with cool people.
Oh, thank you very much for having us.
No worries. Alright, I'm going to mute everyone up and then sort of sign off. So thank you again for watching. Hope that's been interesting. Next year's going to have, this year, it's going to have a big focus on Winter's Wake. It's going to be the primary thing here. But as I've mentioned, Hidden Star and the Farrier are both getting updates. And I'll be seeing, putting some attention towards a couple of new projects here and there as well. But primarily the focus is going to be getting Winter's Wake ready to ship. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in the first half of this year. But some of that's going to depend upon where things go from here on out. I got some decisions to make, and yeah, we'll see how things go when we get to that. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Hope it's been interesting, and and thanks again for your patience while I demonstrated that my code is out of control. So goodbye.